I want to thank Dennis Desrosiers, the Bulls head coach. And until next week, I'm Michael Bentz saying so long and good night. Dennis, man. Look at a lot like Christmas. Nice. We're getting ready to wrap things up. And since you were so kind to me last week at the end of the show, I figured with such a kind gesture on your half, I would do this in front of an audience. I'm going to ask you now, since the holidays are coming around, what would you care for Christmas this year so I can make sure I get that for you?
Mike, whatever you can get me, buddy, will be good enough for me.
I'll work on that during the week as well when I find some time away from you, and we'll get that Christmas gift just for the Bulls head coach, Rosie, as I call him. Good evening and hello, friends, and welcome inside the Birmingham Jefferson Civic Center for this week's edition of Wendy's Inside Bulls Hockey. I'm Michael Bentz, and I want to be one of the first to tell you and wish you all a very Merry Christmas and a happy holiday season. Well, this week's show, we have a lot of fun stuff planned for you. We're going to have another segment of Pop in the Box with Ken Cohen a little bit later on, where we'll discuss illegal sticks because they came into play in a game this past Saturday against the Baton Rouge Kingfish in a big way for the Bulls. And we'll also talk about the differences between a defenseman's stick and a forward stick. We'll do that a little bit later. Also, we're going to sit down with the Bulls head coach, Dennis Desrosiers. We'll talk about that big 8-7 win against the Baton Rouge Kingfish on this past Saturday night on home ice. And for those of you wondering why I'm carrying this water bottle, well, you'll want to stay tuned and not miss this. We'll show you the water bottle mystery when we return a little bit later on near the end of the show.
Hi, I'm Ian McFarland, defenseman for the Birmingham Bulls. I want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and have a good millennium.
Hi, I'm Craig Lutz of the Birmingham Bulls, and I'd like to wish you all a happy holiday season.
And welcome back to Wendy's Inside Bulls Hockey. Joining us now is the Bulls head coach, Dennis Desrosiers. And Rosie, first, the team gets a very early Christmas present, one that is very well received. Jamie Hicks returning to the team. That has to have you pretty happy.
Well, I'm happy for the sake of the team and for the sake of, you know, the city and everything. I mean, Hicks is a great player, been here 3-4 years now, and it's really tough to lose a player of that quality on and off the ice. So it worked out. I knew that if we give Hicks enough time there, he'd make the decision that was right for him. And you know, had he stayed there, had the decision been right in that respect, then I would have respected that. But I know Hicksy likes it here, he likes his role here, and ultimately it turned out good for all of us.
And another thing that's beneficial to you in the hockey club is it's not like a situation where you're bringing someone in who hasn't been playing for a while. He's been playing the games. He played 8 games up in the American Hockey League with Worcester, so you'll probably be able to throw him right back into lineup and use him.
Yeah, he's got a little bit of an injury going, not serious, but you know, I expect him that he'll contribute right away. There's no question about that. I mean, he'll jump right in there. It's not like he's a rookie or anything, so he'll be fine.
Now, Dennis, taking a look at this past week, we had the 3 games in 3 nights, 2 of them on home ice, when we took on the Pensacola Ice Pilots and the Baton Rouge Kingfish, and then closing out the week with the Sunday afternoon tilt in Pensacola. Your team goes 2-0-1, all against division opponents, 5 out of a possible 6 points. Looking back in hindsight, although not all of the games were very pretty, taking the 5 points out of 6, you have to be saying, hey, I'll take that any day.
Well, absolutely. And, you know, as you mentioned, you touched on them not being too pretty. From a coaching standpoint, from a technical standpoint, we were awful. We were ugly in some incidences, you know. But you're going to have weekends like that where you give up a lot of goals. And to be able to take 5 out of 6 points on a weekend that wasn't exactly your best, that's big. And it's really big when, as you mentioned, it's against division rivalries. So we gained ground on most everyone, and we jumped back into first place. And it was just a good week. You know, we can correct the mistakes we were making, and we got away with them for a weekend. Now we'll correct them and hopefully get right back on track where we're not giving up quite so many goals.
And during one of those games, Dennis, we get Kevin Pop was taken off the ice, didn't return to action. You've placed him on the 7-day IR list, retroactive to the 18th, so he'll be eligible to come off Christmas Day. What's his situation? How serious, and is he going to be back in the lineup pretty soon?
Well, he hurt his shoulder, and, you know, it's day to day. Probably we could have got away with not putting him on the IR. But again, you know, as we speak, so many times about salary cap and having to get guys in, and with Hicks coming back, it's just hard to get guys in the lineup financially, so better to be safe than sorry with Kevin. The shoulder that he tweaked, I'm not even going to say he injured it, but it causes for some concern. There's a shoulder that he had surgery on a couple years ago, and when that happens to a shoulder that's been surgically repaired or a part of the body with a player, they have a little bit of a question mark until they get a really good chance to test it again, and you hate to have them test it when it's weak. So we give him a week off to get it strong again, and hopefully when he returns to the lineup, he won't have any question that he's secure in his shoulder again.
And the game in which he hurt his shoulder was the game Saturday night against the Baton Rouge Kingfish, and it was one for the ages, friends. The Bulls fall behind 5-0 after one period of play, and Dennis, I think you said it best. You know, you were just hoping you guys would keep it under 12, but then it's getting 2 second-period goals to get within 5-2, and then Dennis, at the third period, what a show your team puts on. We're going to see here very quickly Jeff Scarf and Hugo Belanger scoring 7 seconds apart, giving your team a chance to get back into the hockey game.
You know, that Baton Rouge team really took it on the chin there, because my estimation, they lost it 3 times. When it was 5-0, they pretty much had it in the bag. We make a comeback 6-4 here, or 5-4, then they go 6-4, you think they got it won then, and then they go ahead late 7-6, they think they got it won then, and we pull it out of the fire, so they really lost that a lot of different ways.
And Dennis, when we take a look at this, your team knows they're down by 3 goals. Scarfy there just giving your team a little bit more hope, getting you within 2, but then right off the draw, you guys come right back down. You have to be very pleased with the way Scarf and Belanger are connecting with one another.
I am, and you know, Scarfy is one of the guys that filled the void when Hicks was gone, and he did it very, very well, and a good goal right there by Hugo. He's been on fire lately, and those are the guys we needed out of. The first few games that Hicks was gone, we weren't getting that. Everybody was kind of standing around with a blank look on their face, and then all of a sudden, guys decide to take the bull by the horn, so to speak, and you know, we got some production. And
Baton Rouge would then score again to make it 6-4, but it was another Bulls veteran, this time Stefan Rivard, getting you back within 1.
Yeah, and Rivard works hard all the time. He's not a guy that gets a lot of points for his effort a lot of times, but when he does score goals and get points, you like to see it, because he does work so hard all the time.
And there you can see Rivard finishing it up. It was his 7th goal of the season. And then Dennis, a guy we knew would start paying dividends to your hockey club. Mike Bondarchuk will tie the game up at 6, and this kid can flat out fly.
Yeah, Bondo's got a bit of a sore groin right now, and he's not even skating at his best, and he hadn't skated all year, and, you know, a little older, so it's taken him a while to get totally comfortable. But he basically won that game for us with a couple of late goals, and one of them being in the shootout.
Now, Dennis, here we're going to see the game-tying goal. You made the move to check the illegal stick of Mike Lankshire. It paid off. You pull your goalie, and then Bondo here is going to tie the game up at 7 with just 40 seconds left. Yeah,
you know, that works sometimes. Sometimes it don't. And, you know, I want to make sure everybody understands Avi Karunikar called that stick. I mean, when he's sitting on the end of the bench, he started, and he had tough luck in the first period, and believe me, not his fault. We played very, very poorly in front of him. But he's sitting there, and I asked him to find me a stick, and it's got to be 100% at that chance. Otherwise, we're the team that gets penalized if it's not. And he gave me Lancashire number 18, and the kid almost got off the ice on us, but we were all over him, and Avi was right. It was very illegal, and we were fortunate when you pull your goaltender when you're on a power play. If they get the puck, all they got to do is shoot it the length of the ice. There is no icing, so we had to make sure we kept control of it, and Bondo got it and drilled it high in the net, so it worked out very well for us.
Then the two teams head to the sudden death shootout. The game-tying goal goes to Bondo. The game-winning goal right here in this shootout. It proved to be the game winner and the hat trick for Bondarchuk. And then we're going to see it conclude with Rick Smith's shootout goal that finally sealed things for your club. But Dennis, was there any doubt at all that you guys weren't going to win that game with the magicalness of that night?
Not when we went to shootout. That was in the bag. I hate to say that, but I would have bet the farm on that one, that we were going to win that one. Leonard Uzi played for me before. I know he was down. He's a good front runner. I don't think he comes from behind well, and Rochi was in a position where he come in and got the save, so to speak, and chance for the win, and he wasn't going to make a mistake on that one.
And so the Bulls, in dramatic fashion on Saturday night on home ice, come from behind, suffering a 5-goal deficit after one period of play to win the game by a score of 8-7. That was our Bulls feature game of the week. Fans, we need to step aside. We'll take a break. We'll be back with more on Wendy's Inside Bulls Hockey.